Welcome to the Proven Podcast, where it does not matter what you think, only what you can prove. Today's guest, Susan, lost $10 million and rebuilt her fortune in just 6 years. On this episode, she proves exactly how you can turn feelings into profits using her 4-pillar system. The show starts now.
Today, we've got Susie, who is the profit coach. I am ecstatic to have you on the show. Thank you for coming on.
Oh my God, thank you for having me. This is one of my favorite topics to talk about, obviously.
This is what you do. So when people come to you, they obviously want to scale. They want to change your entire ballgame. You've had a lot of trials and tribulations. When someone first comes to you, what are the things you're like, listen, there's a certain methodology. We need to get this out of the way. How do we do this?
I always start with money because people think that money is at the end, but money is in the beginning because money determines everything. Like, what is your revenue goal, right? How many leads do we need? Are you good with it? Are you bad with it? What's your mindset around it? And it's the biggest topic that I see, and probably you see too, that entrepreneurs avoid. 15% of our financial success is our vocation. The other 85% is what I focus on: sales, marketing, operations, and finance, right? But I start with the money because money gives me the roadmap to go, okay, what are we doing? And what do we need to charge versus what do I feel like I could charge? Quit running your business on feelings. Feelings have nothing to do with business. It doesn't. You can feel about it, but I'm not going to run your business on feelings. And that was hard for me as an entrepreneur. I am, I'm a female woman. I'm a feeling creature, and feelings are good, but not when I'm running my finances, not when I'm running my business. So we're starting with the money, honey.
Absolutely. It's I love the idea that, feelings don't matter in this situation. What's effective? Not what you feel is, there's tons of times where people come in like, oh, it's my grandmother's cookies and it's my special recipe. I don't care. What is your goal? What are you trying to do? So many people pull back the arrow and they fire it and they go, oh, I need it to go. I'm like, shut up. You got to figure that out before you pull the arrow. So when people come to you, and how many people actually have control of what they actually want to make financially? And then when you meet with them, you've got to pivot them completely from where they are.
They're on par, right? So a lot of my clients they're in that million. They're trying to take it to 5, right? So they're on par. Now, it's amazing how many people can hit $1 million. It's not that hard, right? It's strategic. But getting it to be more systemic, right? And a growth strategy around it versus I find a lot of entrepreneurs get there by luck, right? They've got a good marketing funnel. They hit one thing right, but they can't organize the rest of the business. And I'm sorry, if your business is a shit show behind the scenes, you're not going to grow your business. It's not going to work because you have to grow it systemically, or I always own a job, or you always own a job. And the goal is you don't want to own a job. You truly want to own a business, right? And that you can be in your job and love that, and that's okay. I think people think it's wrong if they're a technician in their business. No, that's okay. But then have other people running the other things, and don't be control freak.
The difference between being an owner-operator and an owner. It's a totally different conversation. So you're a systems person as much as I am. You and I are very in the same world. People come to us, they're already making their 7 figures. They want to try and get to 8. And God bless them for it. They want to do that. And one of the biggest things, and we talked about this when I was on your podcast, we talked about removing that person out of it and letting them be kind of the founder and the owner versus the operator. When you talk about your system, and I know I'm going to get hit, people like, oh, you make $1 million? How easy is that? It's a lot easier than you're thinking. We'll pick on that in a second. But when you're talking your systems, when you're at $1 million, you're trying to get 5, 10, 20, what are some of the systems that you put in place? What are some of the strategies that you run into that are concrete that you're like, hey, this is what you need to do. This is what is different than everyone else.
All right. So I know I'm going to say it again, but first has to be the financial system, right? What is your reporting system? What's your cash flow? Cash is king, right? I'm not a believer in debt. There's good debt and bad debt. If you have to build your business on credit at first, great. But then how do we get you out of that? Right. I built my first business on credit cards. Right. So I understand that was the only money I had. But then in less than a year, I paid it all off. Right. So there has to be that mindset around what is that cash flow strategy. So having them understand the power of what their financial reports mean. You don't have to do it. You have to have someone, one, you have to understand it. Right. 2, you have to have someone that you trust. 3, you have to have a second or third person cross-checking because so many entrepreneurs get embezzled because they're not looking at it. I don't need to. I see my report. No, you need to. You need to be able to look at that P&L and go, is this right? Is this not right? Where you don't have to know the answer Like I have sniffed out a lot of things in my own business going, something's not right. I didn't know what it was, but I knew something wasn't right. So innately, we have to understand it. That is the GPS of the business. The second thing is accountability. Quit hiring people and not holding them accountable, right? You're not holding people accountable. You're paying them a shit ton of money. Sorry, I got a little potty mouth, Charles.
You should really watch your fucking language on my show.
You've got to hold people accountable to the result they're producing. I don't care if you work 40 hours a week. If you can get that job done in 10, that's all I care about. What is the result you're producing? Like what I can produce in a day and somebody else produce in a day, I run circles around you. So you're not managing my time, you're managing my result. So an accountability system, especially for your C-suite, especially for management, what are you paying them to do? And hold them accountable to that. Don't be afraid of it, right? Because that is a huge chasm. I have clients that are spending $70, $80, $150,000 on people. Where's the reporting? Where's the tracking? What are they doing? Right? And quit with the storytelling. I think they're Hans Christian Andersen. Story, story, story.
Yeah, I love that you talked about, pay for the results, not for the time. I guess it's a huge thing that most people don't understand. I'm going to pay you X amount of dollars. If you get that done in 20 minutes, muzzle. If you get it done in 4 hours, that's on you. If you figure out how to do it faster, great, we're going to do that too. Also, when it comes to being accountable and monitoring yourself, one of the things that I learned very early on was there's only 2 classes I ever failed in college, statistics and accounting. The 2 classes. I actually dropped my accounting class because I remember the professor was like, sometimes an asset's an asset. Sometimes it's a liability. And sometimes liabilities are liabilities and other times they're assets. And I stood up, I go, and sometimes I drop your phone. And I walked out and I actually went to the community college and got it. Even with that said, I took it multiple times. I have my primary accountant and then I have another accountant because he knows that I pay for someone who isn't connected in any way, shape, or form, who I outsource this to, and he gives me the reports at the same time. And if they don't match, then I'm like, okay, there's a problem. And I'm still double checking everything. Get the people that are not connected that, because you can give accounting level access to people. And you level audit your books. And you have to be able to read the numbers they're giving back, because numbers, my uncle will kill me for this, but numbers most of the time don't lie. You can manipulate them, but most of the time,
I could make them say whatever you want me to say. What I'd like to say.
Exactly. So we've got the money, we've got the accountability. What are the next things that most people, when they're trying to scale, when they're not just trying to get off the ground, because anybody can start, very few people can scale. What are the things, and that's why people come to you, because they need a profit coach. They need to get to that next level. What are some of the things that, you run into, like, oh God, if I heard this again, oh, I know it is. And they walk in, you're like, oh, it's, and we both run into this, I'm sure.
So much magical thinking in both. It's bananas. So the reality is you have to have a sales system, a sales structure. You have to know how many qualified leads you need to get in for years, right? And a lot of marketers are, how do you say, they're scam artists, right? Just do one thing. And that wasn't the word I was looking for, but that just came up, so let's say it, right? Just do this and you'll rake in the cash. No, you have to have qualified leads. And it's not one lead to one sale, right? You have to know what's your contact to contract. What is that lead time, right? And they will offload it to somebody else. No, you have to, I am the best salesperson in my business. So when I hire a salesperson, I know what I'm looking for. I know what I'm doing. I'm still selling. Every time I talk to somebody, I'm selling them something, right? Whether opportunity, possibility, a contract. So we have to look at your sales process inside and out. And I follow a script. I've been following the same script for 25 years. You know why? Because I'm a chatty Cathy. I want to chat. I want to prove my worth to you. You have not earned the right to coach anybody until you find their need. So in my book, Power Your Profits, on the side, Power Your Profits, I give you my $100,000 script that I have been using for 25 years. Now, I pull it up. I make sure I'm following it so I don't go off sparkle, that I'm following it, making sure I'm finding the need, filling the need. So there's nothing wrong with scripts, right? It gives you that foundation. And that's a system. It's a system that's worked for me for years, right? And I'm closing $100,000 deals to $500,000 deals. Like, you want that script. When you start looking at the more things that you can create, what am I doing that's predictable? How many leads do you need to get in? How many sales will that get you? So yeah, you have to do some work. The first person I always hire, Charles, is an operations person, because the operations person is going to give me the data, help me do the nuts and bolts. So if I'm front facing, I can be front facing. Just because I can do it doesn't mean I want to. I'm not an accountant. I'm not a CPA. I had to learn how to do it, but I need my accountant. I need my CPA, but you can't pull the wool over my eyes. You can't pull a fast one on me, right? So I want everyone to realize the operations person, that more than assistant. I would rather pay $60 an hour to somebody than $20 an hour to somebody. That $60 an hour person will get 10 times more done than the $20 an hour person. And the $20 an hour person, I got to freaking manage them. I got to tell them what to do.
Nightmare.
Right? My fun is if I have to tell you what to do, one of us isn't needed.
Absolutely. So there's so much there. And one of the things I love that you talked about was in your sales script. You didn't sit there and say, hey, I'm a chatty person. I'm going to tell you all about me. You said, no, I'm a chatty person. I'm going to find your need. I'm thinking about you. We're going to identify your need, your pain, and we're going to speak to that. And the next thing is you went into ops, which again, systems and ops, it's the only thing that's going to set you free. It's the only way to scale. When you're looking for an ops person, what are the things, because so many out there, what are the things when you're interviewing and you're helping out your clients and you're interviewing ops people that you look for? What are the telltale signs? Because if you're doing this just off of, hey, I've got a good feeling because you wore a nice dress today, you should not be the hiring manager. Go play in traffic. Get out of the way. So what are you looking for when you're hiring an ops person?
We joke and we say that Charles is my brother from another mother. So he knows that's what I used to do when I hired people. I'm like, but I like them. I like Charles. He's fun. Who cares if he's fun? Can he do the job?
Yes.
So the first thing I do when I'm interviewing is I always say, give me an example of that, no matter what position it is. So Charles, give me an example of how you built Wild. Give me an example of how you build a business. Give me an example of how you put a system in place. Give me an example of the system. Give me an example of what you do in a sales process. Give me an example of how you close someone. Give me an example of how you would organize me. Give me an example of how you would coach me if I'm hiring you for my assistant. You can spot bullshit so fast when you give me an example, because if they can't, they circle talk. Like I will end interviews in less than 5 minutes to go, you know what? Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you. And you have no idea what you're talking about. And because our world is so virtual right now, all my team is virtual, right? And everyone's doing project work. You get a lot of people that have a little bit experience in a lot of things. And so you've got to weed out the weenies. You've got to weed out the people that are just, they have this surface level of knowledge. Because as you're growing 7, 8, 9-figure businesses, you can't have surface level people. So you have to go deep. The second thing I do is something that I've been using for 25 years, which is called the Harrison assessment. Now, I've done all the assessments, the Colby, the Myers, the DISC, you name them, I've done. The Harrison gives me cultural fit. It gives me skill set. It gives me behavioral. And it shows me the red flag. So you do this Harrison, it's going to show me what's the thing that's going to be hard to manage about you, or what's the thing that's going to pop up that's going to resist. Are you defensive? Are you dogmatic? Right? Are you dominating? Do you like to lead? Are you organized? Are you not? So it shows you the DNA of a person. Now, whenever Charles, and I have done this because I think I know best, I've said, oh, but I love Charles. We have such a great chemistry here. We've much like, they're so good, right? They've sold me. Whenever I've done that and gone against the profile, it's kicked me in the face, right? So now I don't do it. I look at it, I'm like, it'll kick you in the face if you hire this person. It'll kick you in the face if you do this. Like you got to trust the technology, trust the system you put in place, which it took me a couple times. I had to be kicked in the face because my gut, I'm intuitive. No, you're a ding dong, and you just sold. They're good sales.
100%. And I love that. So when you get to a certain level, there's people who are making, 6 figures. They use certain terminology. There's people making 7 figures. There's people who've actually done it. There's certain terms. There's certain things that jump out. So when you and I first started talking, we started talking immediately about system. And I was like, I actually know what she's talking about. The minute you jump into that, and the minute you're like, after your feelings, we're like, okay, yeah, she's done that. She's been there, because we've all been there. I always say this, you're not an entrepreneur until you've lost your first $1 million. And the reason it's not lost $1 million, it's your first $1 million. Because you're gonna keep losing. It is what it is. It's the nature of the beast. Speaking of that, you are in a situation
now because we're on the other side of it, not in it, but on the other side of it. To go, okay,
it sucks.
Yeah, and you have to go. What did I learn? What did I learn? If you sit in your pity party and you don't look at what you've learned, you've wasted that opportunity. Because those things, I have learned more in losing millions than I have in making millions. Right? Because you have to really reverse engineer. What was my mistake, right? Because everything was flowing along great until you lost it. Then you're like, there was a huge mistake I did. What was it? And you got to be humble enough or have a coach, have somebody like yourself, somebody like myself that's 10 times ahead of you to go, oh, that's what you did. It's like, God dang it.
Also someone who's been there and can look at your forest when you're staring at that one tree because you're like, oh my God, this happened to me. You talked about this where you've shared this openly where you've lost it. You went through and you had everything taken away from you and had a relationship that was taken away from you. And again, you did quote unquote everything right and everything was perfect and then everything went away. When you lost everything, because you lost some pretty.
Like, dude, I lost $10 million. Let's just say it. $10 million.
I'm $10 million. So for the audience who's trying to scale, first off, I would always tell someone, don't hire the person that's never been because they have no idea how to fix what you're going. So that's first and foremost. If you run into someone that's like, oh, I've never lost money, run the other direction as fast as you can. Find the person who's lost it, who's authentic enough, who can stand up in front and say, hey, I've had this failure. I've had the divorce. I've had the loss of $10 million. I've done these things. Hire that person. They're going to know how to get you out. So having done that, having lost $10 million, what are the things that you've learned? What were the major lessons when your pity party stopped and you're like, oh shit, these are what they were. What were the things that you walked away with going, okay, this is what it was?
Well, the first thing I learned, right, because I remember being literally on the floor bawling, and not from a place of why, I did say why me, but not why me like pity party, like why? I'd been a good steward. I was so, I thought, cautious, right? I had plans, I had coaches, I had systems, I had strategies. And what I realized was in that moment, the clarity came and said, it took you 20 years to build this, but it won't take you 20 years to rebuild it because now you know the system of money. When I started, I had no idea it was bubblegum, shoestring, Band-Aid, duct tape, right? It was like, well, let's try this. Well, let's try that. Well, let's try this. Well, let's try that. It took 20 years of building that knowledge and building that strategy. So what took me, 20 years to build and what felt like it was destroyed overnight took me about 6 years to rebuild, right? Because then I had to my girlfriend laughed at me. I'm like, I have no money left. And, I had about $500,000, which is no money left, right? And she's like, oh, shut up. Most people would, I don't even want to hear it. Most people would die to have that just even on a normal day. And now you're boo-hooing. And I'm like, yeah, but I had this thing. And she was right. The first thing I did was reinvest in real estate. That has always done me well, right? Is to go back to the thing that you've done really well. Now, my business has provided me the cash flow to invest in the real estate. Real estate was a long-term play for me, right? I still had my investments in my stock. So that worked. I didn't lose as much there. My real estate portfolio is what I lost. And then I went, what are the things I know how to do? I know how to make money. Let me make money. Let me get on a budget. Let me just put my head down and focus on the result and get rid of the pity party. Then I started looking at, what caused me to do that, which was I got cocky and I over leveraged. I'm gonna be honest. I over leveraged. It was the high in the market. I was feeling confident. I had this cash flow. I invested way too much cash, right? I didn't have enough safety and had the rug pulled out from under me. So that was my lesson to go now when I'm investing, I'm not that leveraged, right? Now I'm also more seasoned, meaning I'm older. So I didn't have that run rate that I used to have when you're younger and you're like, well, I can risk more. So my risk tolerance is lower versus when I was younger, my risk tolerance was higher. Now I still have many years of work left, but I don't want to feel that feeling again. So I'm a little bit more to go, this is what makes me feel like I have a nest egg. So if I have $2 million over here that I know, no matter what happens, I'm okay. Right. And this money I can play with over here. Right. This money, I could go, okay, I'm going to leverage that. I'm going to take that. Because if all that goes away, I still have this. Where I had $500,000 that said, if all this goes away, I have this. And I didn't think it would ever go away. That was naivety, right? To go, of course it will. Business is cyclical, right? I tell my clients that all the time. It's going to go up, down, up, down, up, down. I just didn't think the down would be so far. And that was humbling, right? Very humbling.
And we were talking about this on another call where what caught you, I was lucky enough, and it's pure luck in this situation where I was working with someone who were like, hey, you need to get out of this. This market's going to get really bad. And I was lucky to have that advice where I've also had the other type of advice, which was, hey, don't do this. This is bad. And it skyrockets the other way. So a lot of that is that. But what I love about it is you're not worried about luck in the sense of you have intentionally decided where you're going to allocate your funds as a resource, as an asset before you even earn it. You're like, listen, this brings in my money. I know where it's going now. I'm very tactful about it. The worst thing you can do, and I run into this, is like, hey, we got all these sales. Now, how do we convert? How do we build it? How do we fulfill these orders? Or, hey, you just got $10 million in. Okay, now what do I do with it? If you're getting that influx and then trying to decide what you're going to do, you've already lost the game. The game's already over. You need to sit down and work with someone who's down there and been there before. That when you do get that $500,000, $2 million, $20 million, whatever that's coming in, like, okay, I know where it's going. I already got the deals going, and you're just moving forward in that general direction. Because again, it's system. You got to have everything laid out. Now, one of the things that happened before was when you originally were doing this, you're not in the same niche you are now. And what you're coaching now wasn't the same niche. I'd love for you to kind of talk about that because it's so important. So that was a pivot that you were telling that you first didn't think you could do. So I would love to hear more about it.
Interesting thing was, like you get so this is who I am. And I had a very masculine relationship with my business. I didn't know this at the time, right? I didn't know I was masculine. I didn't know, but I put all my self-esteem was in who I was. I was an icon in this industry, right? I walk in a room, everybody knows who I am. So I was like, yes. I'm waving. You can't see me if you're listening to this, right? Waving like I'm a star. And then I sold the company to, the largest publisher in our industry. That was awesome, right? And then we had a non-compete, which was fine because I was still working in that industry with that company. And then when I walked away from that company, again, I was set up financially. It was okay that I was walking away. I retired for several years and was, just traveling and buying real estate and building my home and doing those kinds of things. And that's when the market crashed. And then all of a sudden I needed to work again. I'm like, well, I'm an icon in that industry. Nobody knows me outside of that industry. So I had to reinvent, well, who am I now? And I literally threw the baby out with the bathwater. I'm like, well, what do I have to offer Charles? I don't know anything about his market. I don't know anything about lawyers. I don't know anything about doctors. I don't know about anything about graphic designers. And I was teaching at this Millionaires Forum. And I was teaching systems, right? How do you build a multi-million-dollar business? Had nothing to do, I was in the beauty industry, nothing to do with that industry. And people would come up to me, Charles, and say, well, will you coach me? I'm like, I don't know anything about you. And my mindset shut me down. My mindset was, I can't do this. I don't know. And so I thought I was smart. I said, well, I'm just going to double my fees. They're not going to pay that. And so, I said, okay, well, here's my fee. I doubled it. Oh my God.
We're absolutely related.
I'm like, right on the spot. And I'm like,
right out of there. Yeah.
I figure out how to do this, right? Because I'm like, oh my God, they really want me. And what I realized was business is business is business. And I was letting my money mindset stop me and my own limiting beliefs stop me about what was possible. And so I still had all those skill sets. I just had to look at cost of goods. I just had to look at profit margins. I had to do a little research on how do I set up a landscape design business? How do I set up an amusement park? Like literally one of my clients was opening an amusement park. Same concept. What's the average ticket need to be? What does cash flow need to be? What are cost of goods? Put the business plan together. Same, right? But I was making it so complicated. And you just reverse engineer it, or let me just say it in layman's terms, just reverse what that process is to go, what do we need to charge to be profitable? Most business owners pull their pricing out of the behind, right? You go, well, what does Charles charge? What does Susie charge? Well, I'm going to charge this. Okay, stop it. That has nothing to do with your pricing strategy. How much profit are you going to have, right? You don't know what Charles's overhead is. You don't know what my overhead is, right? And they're like, oh, it's cheap to run my business. No, it's not. Right? If you look at marketing as my biggest expense, I'm spending $300,000 to $400,000 a year in marketing just to get new clients in. And so people are like, oh, well, I don't need to spend that much. Yes, you do, because you've got to go find
you do.
Come in. It's not cheap, right? You've got to reinvest inside your business. So quit pulling your pricing out of your butt, right? By chapter 6 is math is money, money is fun. Or chapter 8, sorry, math is money, money is fun. Because again, not accountant, not a CPA, but there's a correlation. You have to understand it. And the minute I put it into money, it's so stupid. Like, no, Charles has 8 apples and he feeds 6 kids or whatever. That didn't make any sense to me. But now we start talking money. I'm like, oh, I get this now. How many shoes can I buy? How many purses? Right? How many cars? How many shirts?
Okay, now I get it. And it goes back to the feelings thing. feelings are irrelevant. It's not, it doesn't matter what was, it's accepting what is. And you had this story that you had was, oh, I used to only do this. No, this is who you are. And you're going to run into this if you're trying to scale this. And I love that you brought it out. I did want to work with two of the clients, and they know who they are. I've talked to them about this. I didn't want to work with them. So I doubled one of my fees to one, and I tripled the other one. And they didn't even hesitate. And what it taught me was I was like, wow, I am completely undervaluing what I'm offering to the market. And it was such a thing. It wasn't like, oh, look at me, I'm an idiot, I'm not doing this. So I was like, wait, the market's changed. I need to adapt to the market because this is what my value now is. And it happened kind of the same thing. And you're like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to scare them away. And I have found, and I'm curious if you found this as well, the more you charge a client, the more results they get. Again, what the heck? It's I guess it's human psychology. Like if I charge you whatever $5,000 to work with me, you're not going to get results. If I charge you $20,000, you're going to crush it. I'm like, huh? It's the same value. It's the same information. I'm not doing anything different, but how that person shows up is completely different. And I love that you said your most expensive thing is your marketing. It's my biggest expense, hands down, without even close. Marketing, getting it out there.
You think about like whatever your chocolate is, right? So people have different things. Like if you're going to buy something and you're used to spending one thing on it, and then somebody offers it for a lower thing, all of a sudden you're like, what's wrong with it? Right? I learned that early on being a hairdresser, right? That was my vocation when I first started. And I remember one of my clients said, she's like, oh, can you do my hair? I'm like, sure. She goes, well, how much is it? At the time it was like $42 or something. She looked at me stone faced and went, what's wrong with you? I'm like, what do you mean? What's wrong with me? She goes, why are you so cheap? Like I'm spending $100 over here. It was a slap in the face, but a slap I needed. She'll go, oh, you can undervalue yourself by the pricing. You think you're getting more clients in, but we're losing clients because they look at you like they don't know what they're doing.
And the quality of the client comes in as well. The person who's going to pay me $5,000 quality wise is not the person who's maybe $25,000. It's a completely different conversation. It's wildly separate. And it doesn't mean that you come out of the box and you're like, hey, I'm going to charge this premier thing. If your offer isn't premier, if you haven't done this, no, don't go do it. Don't. There's too many scammers out there. Don't do that. Your reputation is all you have, especially when you're doing it. So there's some things you talk about,
right? There's so many other values versus pricing. Like I want the result, right? If you're going to get me the result, okay, let me look at it, right? Quit selling your time. You're not selling your time. I'm not buying Charles's time. I'm buying his expertise. I'm buying the failure. I'm buying the breakdown. I'm buying the breakthrough, right? And make sure they really had it. Do your due diligence. Just because someone said they did it and built a $10 million business doesn't mean they did. Right? Google them, do due diligence, because there's so many people out there, charlatans. That was the word I was looking for. The charlatans out there that are masquerading, but they've never done it. Like, and I can smell bullshit. You can smell bullshit. There's theory and there's practice. Like you said, the minute I started talking systems, you said, okay, she knows what she's doing. Right? Yeah, you can.
The thing is, someone will come on this, they'll listen to this podcast, like, oh, all I need to do is talk about systems. Well, the thing is, it wasn't just saying systems. There's certain ways that things are talked about. Like if you go to someone who's played hockey, they're going to know things about the skates that a baseball player's not. And it's these intricate little details. And you're going to be able to hear it and weed it out very, very quickly. So you were talking about marketing being one of your hugest expensive when you're doing scaling. What are the things that you put into place when you're like, hey, this is the stuff that's helped me the most in marketing for scaling, allowed me to become that lighthouse amongst the fog, the signal versus the noise? What are some of the things that you found in over 20 something years of experience that allows you to do that?
The first thing is you have to understand that qualified lead versus lead. I've wasted so much money getting cost-effective leads. I don't care about impressions. I don't care how many leads. What I care about is are they qualified? And most people are too lazy to dig deep in their ideal avatar to really find out their buying habits. If you're being lazy and you want me to put it together for you or Charles to put it together for you, no, you know your client. So putting that together so that you know, what music do they listen to? What magazines do they read? What events do they go to? Like all that is so important. So the first thing we do is we look at how many qualified leads do we need, right? So that I'm making sure that whatever advertising platform, and you have to advertise. You have to advertise. You have to advertise. You have to advertise. I have to advertise. You have to advertise. Have you got it? You've got to advertise, right? Whether you're doing Google ads, whether you're doing Facebook ads, whether you're doing LinkedIn ads, you have to invest money in that, right? So just like every other marketing company or lead generator, you got to see what is the return on investment, right? Is it 3 times what you invest? That's what I'm looking for. If I'm spending $10, I want to make $30, right? So I want to make sure ROIing on the first sale first. I know once you come in my world, I know that I can upsell you from those buckets. So it's making sure that whoever you're advertising for and what platform works best for you, not Facebook ads, Instagram ads, they're still working. We're still getting, we're spending $40,000 to make $250,000 on our ads campaign, doing Facebook ads. They're still working, right? So it's important that you realize that you're going to invest some money. And you got to test and test and test and test and test and test some more. You can't do it one time and go, see, that webinar didn't work. Well, did you suck? Did you do an invitation to purchase? Did you have an offer stack? Right? Are you selling a low ticket thing that isn't even relevant to your customer?
I'm sorry, on your offer,
right?
And what is the ITV, right?
Right. The lifetime value.
Right. Lifetime value of your client. And yeah, I love that you talked about testing. Whenever we do this, I will run multiple split tests because I need to know what's working, what's not working, and then accept the fact that as soon as that test is done, realistically in 2 weeks, probably not going to work again. And I got to constantly be evolving my ads. I've constantly got to be evolving my pitches. There's times where there's certain places where I'm on stage that I know I can't speak in a certain way, and I have to adjust what I'm saying to. Just like if I'm in somewhere else to change. Same thing with your ads. Same thing when you're trying to close. And I love what you said earlier about that you got to be the salesperson. At first, it's got to be you because no one knows your business better than you do. So putting the time and the energy in. Because I know we're trying to rock and roll and jam so much information in here. What are some of the tools that you have found that you're like, you know what, I need these. Well, these are my top 10 tools that if I didn't have these, God, I'd shut down my business. What are some of the things that you use that are just lifeblood to you?
So one is your CRM, right? So we use Infusionsoft. I know people hate it, but I've been using it for 20 years, right? And whenever an operations person comes in, don't just change your shit, please. Because every marketing person, every operational person will go, I need this new widget and gadget. I'm sorry, if you can't use my widget and gadget and prove you can do the job, I'm not changing anything, right? I spent so much money doing that wrong, right? The analytical side of it, so the Google Analytics are incredibly important to me. Again, my marketing person is helping me decipher it and read it and make sure that I'm looking at the right things. And if they go, oh, well, we got this many impressions, I don't care about that. I need them to click on my thing, my lead gens, right? That's what's important to me because marketers can get they're slip talkers, they're marketers, right? They can snowball you. The reality is I need to see what's there to make that happen. So QuickBooks, can I run my business without QuickBooks? Cannot look at anything without QuickBooks, right? So we have a membership portal for our programs that we use. Again, there's a ton of them. So which one works for you? So my financial software is most important. My CRM is most important to me, right? And then my analytics is most important to me.
It's really simple stuff. Now, one of the things is when you're doing a virtual staff, when you decide that someone's going to be project-based versus like per diem, versus all like, oh, this is a full-time. I definitely 100% need this. When you're doing that, how do you manage the juggling of that when you're talking about scaling?
It depends on so I'll look in a division and look at where the holes are, right? What are the holes? So are the holes project management? That could be project-based. Social media could be project-based, right? You don't need a full-time social media person in your company every single day. Like people are so overpaying. Even your accounting, you're overpaying. I'm sorry. Most people, you're just getting, right? Because you don't know. And they're charging you a ton of money and not doing the work that you need them to do. The full-time people are the result producers, my operations persons, my salespeople I have some contracts, some full-time, right? So some contractors will come in and just do events or launches for us. And so they're a contractor with us. My marketing person, I've done both. I've had them full-time and I've had them on contract. It really depends on your budget and really depends on what you're looking for. Most businesses now, most people can be contract, except for my operations. Again, I need that person eating, sleeping, drinking me, right? The structure, the foundation, what's working, what's not. They are the Dutch boy. They're putting their finger in all the holes and making sure everything is talking to each other. Every contract can be automated. When you have a really good operation person, so much can be automated. Like, quit doing all this manual stuff. I'll come into a company and go, what is happening here? I may not know exactly what's wrong, but if it's taking too long, I use Toggle to report on everybody's time. There's many different ones, but we use Toggle. And I look at them. Every single team member, I'm looking at, what did you spend your time on? How long did you spend your time doing that? That doesn't make any sense to me. Why did it take you 3 hours to do that? Then I can see the whole, right? So most of my time is spent inside of some kind of analyticals, looking at what's working, what's not working inside the business. Because if I can get each team member efficient and productive, then my productivity will go up as a company. You've got to spend time training your people. You got to spend time training your people. You can't just throw in somebody. I don't care if they're a great marketer. You still have a fingerprint. You still have a way that your message needs to be said. You're not getting the results because you're just putting spaghetti on the wall and going, good luck, Charles. Well, Charles knows his brand, but he doesn't know my brand. He doesn't know what I want the customer experience. He would rock and roll. But imagine if I spent time giving him the infrastructure, the training, the feedback, the real-time feedback. Don't wait for a month later. Don't wait till it builds up. Let's give real-time feedback. There's nothing wrong with it. We don't like confrontation, but confrontation is a must in business because they're not going to know your brand. They're not going to know who you are. Quit hiring people and not supporting them to be the best person they can be in that role. We've got to spend time with them, right? I'm constantly coaching my team and coaching. How could you do that better? Not me telling you how to do it. Again, if I have to tell you how to do it, one of us isn't needed. How could you do that better? Just this week, Sam, who you know, Sam, and I love Sam, she booked somebody on our podcast. I'm like, they're not qualified to be in our podcast. Why are they on our podcast? And she's like, well, I thought it would be great for customers that aren't at that 7-figure. I don't care about those customers. I do, but they're not my ideal customer. Right? And she's like, oh, okay. Like, what's the purpose of the podcast? So I'm to train her. What's the purpose? And we've been on the podcast for 4 years or 3 years. What's the purpose of it? Right? Yes, it's to get great, phenomenal education, but the reality is a podcast is a lead gen, right? It's a lead gen so that we can expose my clients to you, expose my clients to me. We have a synergistic relationship. I know that when I'm done with them, I'm going to refer them to Charles, vice versa. Like, we're creating these partnerships that are so much bigger than just giving information.
So I'm curious, how long has Sam been with you?
Sam's been with me for 7 years. She started out as she said, hey, I want to be a speaker. And I laughed at, like, you do? Well, why don't you come to an event? And I'm going to show you the real skinny.
Actually,
I got her up at 4 a.m, had her do all the work, like, I don't have to get up at 4 a.m. anymore. I have paid my dues. I've been doing this for 30 years. You get up at 4 a.m. You go get me coffee. You get that stage ready. You go do the mic check. You go do, like, she was like, oh my God. Now she's like, I don't want to be a speaker. I like the high speaker.
So I love that even after 7 years, your assistant, you still got to step in. There's certain things you just can't set in. Forget, we talked about before, when you're generating income, that income is going to buy you an asset. That is more automated. And that is simpler to do because I have management companies to take care of my real estate. So I don't have to worry about that stupid shit. But in my day-to-day operations, I have to do that stuff. So I love that even though your assistant's been with you for 7 years, they're still okay, we misfired. We had a burp. Let's come back in. Let's pivot around. Let's work together. We are constantly coaching. One of the other things that most coaches or most people at any level won't admit is that they need help as well. I love that you're like, I have coaches. I have people who do this. When you're looking for a coach and you're going to go out and hire, as someone who is a coach, what are the things that you look for that you're like, okay, I need to have this experience? Other than, I'm going to Google them and they're going to give me that social proof. What are the things that you're looking for that you can resonate? Because for me, I've got one, and I'm curious if you hit it. I'll tell you if you do.
So the first thing I look at is chemistry, right? Do we have the same chemistry and same belief systems, right? As far as what does it need to take to the next level? The third thing is, are you willing to hold me accountable? I don't need a friend. I don't need a yes person. I need someone that has, played 10 steps bigger than me. And are you willing to hold me to the carpet? Or why am I spending this much money, right? To be able to do that. I don't need a friend. You don't need a friend, right? I need someone that strategically can help me get to the next level. The minute I say, what's the plan and how are we going to get there? That's where most people go, well, I just want to tell you what to do. No, I don't need ideas. I need the strategy. What got me here will not get me there. So if you're not coming with strategy, I'm not interested. And I've spent a lot of money wrong, Charles. I've hired wrong. I've all wrong this before. Marketing, I have spent so much money wrong because I got bamboozled by the charlatan, right? But now I can sniff it out, right? To go, here's what I'm looking for. At the end of the day, what can you do and help me get to that level? And do you believe it? And do you believe that I'm the person that can get that done? What's yours? What's the thing you have?
Mine is, are they going to wilt? You and I are very similar with personalities. We are a wall of force. And if you're going to sit here and you're going to be like, oh, like, I'm scared or everything. No, I need you to stand in front of my face and like, no, I need to have pushback, because if you can't stand in front of it and redirect this ship in some way, you're no value to me in any way, shape, or form. Because I'm a huge fan. I spent 8 years in a hospice watching people die, so I got to experience bereavement therapy because I was there all the time. We just talked to them, we'd have lunch together. I got to see the value of therapy. And I was like, if your therapist can't get in your face, it's not your therapist. If your coach can't get in your face, I'm like, no, absolutely not. It's not my person. I need someone who's not going to whip. I need that strong personality who's absolutely going to get in my face. So the next question, because people are going to want to hunt you down. What are some of the questions that they need to be prepared for before they call you, before they get on the call, to save you some time, to save them some time when they jump on a call and they want to work with you? What are some of the questions that you immediately ask that you're like, hey, this is my filtering system? Well, let's get into it. Because for me, a lot of it, and this is the weird feeling part for me. Yes, there's some stuff that's very much data driven. Yeah, you got to be doing this, you got to be doing this, you got to be doing this. But there's every once in a while, there's that thing that, okay, are you here with whatever that is? For me, it's pain. If the person isn't in the point, because I always say this all the time, entrepreneurs don't have bad days. They have days where they don't have any more days. If you're not to the point where you're going to kill yourself, you're not my client. You're not in enough pain, and you need to be in enough pain for me to level you up, because that's the only way you're going to take action. But if you're like, no, I was thinking about doing it, Etsy, get the fuck away. Just go away. You're not my person. My people are, you got to be in pain. That is my filter across the board. I have people come to me all the time. I'll pay you this much money. I don't care. If you're not to the point where you're just dying, you're not my people, because that's the only people we get results for these people. For you, when people come to you and they want to work with you, what are the things that you look for? What are some of the questions you have?
That is hilarious. So we're very similar. The question I will ask is, what are you willing to do to make this happen? If they don't say I'm willing to do whatever it takes, you're not ready for me. Because if you're not willing to mortgage your house, if you're not willing to borrow from your retirement, if you're not willing to put it on a credit card, if you're not willing to risk it all to get it all, it's the same thing. And then, are you coachable? Give me an example of when you're coachable. Give me an example. If I said this to you, what would it do? And so that kind of goes back to the wilting. That kind of goes back to being in the pain. You've got to be so done being done that you're ready to do it. Right. And that's what I'm looking for a coach, is when I'm done being done, like I've exhausted everything I can on my own and courses, and like I'm hitting my head up against the wall, and I'm like, I got to find somebody that knows how to do this and not in theory. So if you don't answer, I'm willing to do whatever, even in our intake questionnaires, when we're doing like online courses, that's the very last question I ask. What are you willing to get this done? If they're like, I'm just checking it out. No, they're not ideal. They're not ideal. They're not ideal. Because I don't care if they'll pay for it. They're not going to do the work. And then,
and then that's just annoying. It takes your time.
I literally closed down $1 million line item last year because I got so tired of people not doing the work. I'm not doing it anymore. It's not fun.
Yep.
This sucks. You're blaming on me, but you aren't doing the work. And my assistant was like, well, that's $1 million. Whatever. I'll make another $1 million. I'm not doing it. It's not. Yeah, it's not worth it.
And there's a huge difference. There's a huge difference between I want to lose weight and I'm willing to lose. There's a huge difference between I want to make $1 bazillion and I'm willing to do it. If you're not willing to sacrifice everything you are in this moment to go get what you want, it's just not going to work. It's, when you talked about, shutting this $1 million line item, it's the entire reason that ever since the book hit Wall Street Journal, I just give it away for free. I'm like, oh no. I had courses that I sold that we made 6 figures on. I just give them away for free now. Because I don't care anymore. I'm like, you're not going to do it anyway. So it's like, whatever. So when we talked about this before, using books as lead magnets, how do people track you down? How do people get access to you so that they can sit there and have this level? Because I'm warning you, though, if you track down Susie, very similar to me, she's not going to play around. She's going to get in your face, and you might not like her, but she's not there for you to like her. You're there to get results. So how do people track you down? How do they start the process? If they're in that wanting phase versus that willing phase, how do they get some of your material to start understanding that? And then for the ones who are like, I'm willing to do this and I'm willing to sacrifice my firstborn child and light my husband on fire, Well, how do those people get a hold of it? Because it's a totally different conversation.
It is a totally different conversation. So I would say the first step is go to our website, which is Susie Carder, CARD as in dollar, dinero, delicious, ER, right? So susiecarder.com. And then you can go get our book on Amazon, Power Your Profits, right? You can go on the website and get the book. There's a business assessment there that will have you do a quick business assessment that sees if you're right for me, right? Because I'm very much, I don't need to work with people, right? I've set my life up. I don't have to work as hard as you used to work in the past. I choose clients that want to take a risk, that are willing to do the work, that are willing to play full out. That one, you got to be making a difference in the world. You've got to want to make money, right? And you're willing to do the work to make that happen. We've got a YouTube channel. We've got a podcast. So if you're still just investigating, and I say, do your due diligence, right? Read me, listen to me. Is she the right person for me? Is this the jam that I'm looking for? Because it's not supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be rewarding, right? And when you're doing the work you need to do, it's rewarding, right? So that's how you get a hold of me. All my social is my name, Susie Carder. CARD is a dollar, dinero, delicious.
I love that you and I speak the same language, and it's not about feelings. I don't care. Give me data, give me numbers. Let's make it trackable. I love it. Thank you so very much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you.
Success isn't about perfect plan. It's about profitable execution. Susie just proved that feelings don't run businesses. Systems do. Stop making excuses and start making money. Test your strategies, measure results, and hold yourself accountable to the numbers that matter.